What's up, guys? Welcome back for another edition of Iron Mag TV, Episode 3, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com. So, on this episode, we've got quite a little bit to talk about. First and foremost, of course, Nick Strength and Power. I mean, he's the most popular YouTuber. It pains me to have to constantly reference him, but he's the most popular. He's more popular than Greg Doucette. He's more popular than Nick Trigili. He's more popular than everybody. So when the most popular YouTuber, makes a video, the old Iron Duke here at Iron Mag TV, I would be remiss if I didn't cover it because then I'll never hear the end of it from you guys. So Nick Strength and Power makes a video because Dexter the Blade Jackson, 9-time World Classic champion, Mr. Olympia, the winningest most pro in the history of this game, basically says, Nick, you're one of the worst. Well, he didn't even say it to Nick. He said it to a comment asking about Nick Strength and Power, and all the Blade said was he was one of the worst. And he wasn't saying that Nick Miller was a bad guy. He was simply saying that he was one of the worst in the sense of giving him contest coverage. Dexter Jackson's been competing since the 1990s. He's probably been competing as long as Nick's been alive, if not damn near close to how long he's been alive. And Nick's rebuttal, if you can call it that, was simply to say that he's been covering Dexter as of late. Well, Dexter's retiring this year, bro. So everybody's covering him. That's not really much of a rebuttal there, Nick. But, hey, Nick even said, well, I got two Mr. Olympias that had me blocked. I got two Mr. Olympias that are taking me to task, so I must be doing something right, if you say so. Phil Heath's got me blocked. Dexter doesn't, but I like Dexter. I've done interviews with Dexter. I used to like Phil. I never did interviews with Phil, but I liked Phil. I mean, Phil knew who I was, I think, and we took photos together and this and that. I mean, it's not because I'm so important. It's just because, who could forget that face? But, I mean, listen, Dexter is the winningest most pro, and he won the Arnold Classic this year, and he's retiring this year. And for the fact that you're finally talking about him, you saying that you're giving him coverage as of late is not a rebuttal. If anything, you are accepting, him calling you the worst. You are one of the worst. And Louis Mark, in terms of giving him contest coverage, and your predecessor, the man who took you under his wing as his protege, old Louis Marco, who the hell knows what he's doing now. I heard you tried to come back. I heard you kind of give him the cold shoulder there. Shocker, as you near 1 million subs, even though you have no following on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, but on YouTube, you do have nearly 1 million subs. Louis had his favorites, and you have yours, and Dexter ain't one of them. All right, guys, so let's talk a little bit about North Americans. North Americans are happening. Pennsylvania has now said that there cannot be gatherings of more than 100 people, even outside. So there are not going to be vendors, and there's not going to be an audience, and coaches are not allowed, from what I last heard. It's crazy. I am still running the social media at MPC North American on Instagram. Be sure to follow that page. Tons of competitors are on it. Also, the NPC North American page on Facebook. I think the North American Championships will be a fantastic event, as it is each and every year. Tons of pro cards. The very best United States, Canada, and Mexico will descend on Pittsburgh, posing in front of the greats like Gary Udit, our president, NPC president, and Pro president, Mr. Jim Mannion, Vice President Tyler Mannion. The legendary J.M. Mannion will be out there shooting the show. It's one for the record books, folks. It's one for the record books, and it's a great competition. But, listen, Gary said it best. They're not just going to meet the CDC guidelines. They're going to far surpass them. That's what it's all about in the MPC. And, I think the show's going to be fantastic, and the competitors are certainly hungry, and they want those pro cards. And, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Also, the New York Pro, Steve Weinberger's show, the third most important show on the pro circuit. You got your Olympia, Arnold, and undeniably New York Pro is the next show, taking the place of the former Night of Champions. The New York Pro is an amazing, amazing competition, and Steve was going to make sure that whatever needed to happen was going to happen to ensure that the competition took place. And so they're moving it to Tampa for $19.99. You can watch it on live stream or pay-per-view. There are some tickets, I believe, that are still available at bevfrancis.com, so head on over there and purchase those. Show your support of bodybuilding. In terms of live streaming of the North Americans, Gary, on his most recent video, said that there was a possibility for that. So a lot of people are very, very excited. If they can't see their friends and family on stage. The next best thing is to see them on their phones, their computers, or on the TV. So let's keep our fingers crossed, but let's also count our blessings. You know, it's a good thing the competition's happening. It's a good thing that it wasn't canceled or postponed. It's going to happen, and it's going to be a world-class production there in Pittsburgh, which is, for all intents and purposes, the capital of bodybuilding. You know, I know a lot of people look at the old Pumping Iron movie, and they look even at, you know, Gold's Venice as recently as the mid to late 1990s, and a case could be made that that was, you know, where it all got started. A case could be made for that's, you know, the center, the heart of bodybuilding. But as of the mid to late 90s, I would say Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. Is the heart, the nerve center, if you will, of bodybuilding. And that's where the NPC is based out of. The IFBB Pro League is based out of there. You got the Pittsburgh Pro, the North Americans, the Teen Collegiate Masters Nationals, you know, just a ton of shows. So Pittsburgh's really where it's at. But to have everybody from 3 countries descend on there for the NPC North American Championships, that's nothing short of amazing. So the very last thing that I want to talk about, a lot of people talking about the Olympia and some of the shows like the one in Spain and how the top 3 will qualify. I know there was an article that I wrote for ironmagazine.com on Big Ramy. Will he come back? Well, I feel like he has to. I mean, Big Ramy is no spring chicken. He got 3rd at the Arnold Classic earlier this year to Dexter the Blade Jackson and William the Conqueror Bonac. And, you know, there was some speculation that the Egyptian Phenom would sit out the rest of 2020 and come back in 2021 with the great Chad Nichols in his corner. But my question to that, to Ramy, to Chad, and to their whole camp is why? You got 3rd at the Arnold Classic. Now you got these other shows. You got Chicago, you got Spain, you got New York. I mean, there's an opportunity for Ramy to qualify for the Olympia. And, you know, this is a guy that's placed as high as 2nd. So, I mean, I would imagine that he's going to want his place in the top 6. Now, the top 6 is going to be an all-out war to get into. Let's be honest here. This is the first year, I think, that there's a possibility that there's going to be 3 or 4 Mr. Olympias on that stage, or 5 maybe, or 6. But there's a very real possibility that Dexter the Blade Jackson will not be able to crack the top 6. Now, he is somebody that can win the show. Hands down, no question, he can win the show. But unless he brings, I mean, he's going to have to come, like, I mean, I don't know. Phil Heath may not make the top 6. You know, I mean, you got Rudy Winkler, who's taken over a year off. When's the last time that guy did that? You got William the Conqueror Bonac, who, I mean, has been the perennial runner-up now at the Arnold Classic 2019 and at the Mr. Olympia 2019, and he's not looking to get any less than 2nd, and he's probably going in there to win the competition. You got, you know, James Flex Lewis, the Walsh Dragon, who dominated the 212, 7 consecutive victories, got bored, maybe wanted to hand over the torch, I don't know. This guy's coming for the win. He's not coming to be 2nd or 3rd or just for the experience. He's coming to win. So right there, I mean, you got 4 guys, Rulli, Lewis, and Bonac. That's 3 guys. You know, plus Brandon Curry. That's 4 guys. That's going to be your top 4 in my humble opinion. Those 4 guys. But then you got guys like Hadi Chupin, who I don't know if you guys have been following the news, but there has been no news. So no news is good news when it comes to Iranian-American relations, or American and Iranian relations, or whichever country you want to put first. And they've been handling COVID pretty well, so it's not like Italy or Spain. So I can't imagine why Hadi wouldn't get a visa. And if Hadi gets a visa, who do you think Hani is going to work harder with? Hadi, who can actually get closer to winning, or Phil, who for all intents and purposes is a has-been, who may or may not be coming back simply for the fact that he's broke? I don't know. But the thing is, that's an interesting question for Hani. And it's an interesting question for handicappers. Who will place closer to first? Hottie or Phil Heath? I ask you. And then you got guys like Steve Kuklo, who has been knocking on the door, who's coming up. You got guys like Hunter Labrada, who won his pro debut in Tampa in a stacked lineup, might I add, who could definitely be in the top 6. And if he's in the top 10, mathematically speaking, that's going to put pressure on whoever gets into the top 6. So, I mean, in all honesty, and I know people are going to say, well, it's Dexter Jackson's last year. Well, if it was what the hell is that? It's like a fur ball or something. If it was Dexter Jackson's last year in 2009, after winning in 2008, or 2010, a couple of years after winning in 2008, but this guy's been competing as a pro for well over a decade after his Olympia win. He ain't going to get any favors. He wanted to go this far. That's great. And he could still win the show. That's the crazy thing about the show. About Dexter. He could win the show. If he wanted to, he could. You wouldn't need Brendan to be injured. He wouldn't need Brendan to be holding water. If Dexter came at 110% and posed his heart out, there's a chance he could win. Is there a chance everybody could win? No, there's not. That's just something that they say at the press conference to, sound marketable and to sound nice. It's not true. But Dexter could. Will he? Probably not. And so the fact is, if Dexter was going to stay, I think he could definitely be in the top 6 and definitely could be maybe even in the top 4, top 3, maybe. But he's retiring, and when you're retiring, it's like, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you seriously going for the win if you're going to retire? I mean, I don't know. The whole idea of retiring, I don't know. I don't know. And then what happens if Big Ramy gets there? Does Big Ramy make the top 6? Does Big Ramy in the top 10? What if Big Ramy comes in like he did in Columbus, but better? There's so many different variables right here, guys. And I've got to be honest with you. I don't believe that anybody will be in the top 6 automatically, just like that, except for those 4: Curry, Lewis, Bonek, and Winkler. Those 4, what did I just do? Those 4 will be in the top 4. There's no question about that. Kuklo maybe in that 5th spot, and maybe Dexter in that 6th. But then what about Big Ramy? What if Big Ramy comes in? What if Steve Kuklo isn't the only one that's in there? What about Akeem Williams, who last year, for all intents and purposes, was like this close to winning New York? He was 2nd place. What if Akeem Williams goes to Chicago, wins in Chicago, lands in Vegas, looking better than he's ever looked? Is he supposed to be relegated out of the top 6 or relegated out of the top 10 to make space for a guy that's retiring, or to make space for somebody who gets a lot of marketing like a Big Ramy? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, we're talking handicapping here. We're not talking about scorecards. Obviously, scorecards are based on a physique and the posing and the transitions. But, I'm just saying, there's only so many spots. There's only so many spots. So, Olympia's going to be very, very interesting. Very interesting. But I'm going to call out top 4 in no particular order, except to say I do believe Brendan Curry will successfully retain his title. I do believe Lewis, Bonek, and Rulli will be in there, in that top 4. And that just leaves 5th and 6th for Phil and Dexter. And I don't think Phil and Dexter are going to come looking so spectacular. They're going to shut everybody else out. I don't think so. What do you think? And that'll do it for this week's edition of Iron Mag TV, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com. IronMagLabs.com. Make your mark.